And by the time I was in my M1 class, because in medical school there is something we call the professional exams. You take the second MBBS and then you move over to the M1. That is medicine first posting, where you go into the hospital. And I saw something and I decided, okay, that it will change my interest completely to go and aspire to reach for politics, which a lot of persons and youths now shy away from completely. They do not want to be involved anymore because there is no room for them to make change. And that hunger was born in the fact that when we saw patients from time to time, we had very little resources on our own to help some patients. We have very little resources on our own to, you're very welcome, sir, thank you so much. Very little resources on our own to assist. I'll give you an example. That when you may see a patient and you have made your prescriptions, you've made your diagnosis, and you decide, okay, I am going to be treating this patient for AKI, acute urinary kidney infection, and you start your regimen. And by the time you're done writing your prescription, the patient tells you, doctor, where may you go? And you're looking at the patient, this patient is impoverished. The patient cannot afford your drugs. So the next option we give is, let us go for a drug that is another brand, and that other brand is still affordable. So what do? You write a different brand for the patient. And when you write that different brand, something else still comes up. The patient says, "Because doctor, everywhere may go at all. I don't have money." So what do? So at that point, the doctor is a doctor, but the doctor is not empowered policy-wise, policy-making wise, financial wise, to do what? Help every single person that walks into that place. And I, for one, said, okay, it was a rallying point in my life because I discovered that I had a challenge. I saw, I accosted an obstruction to this very feat I had to achieve, which is to help people. How can I now help people en masse when a patient comes in and he or she cannot afford a drug, and I cannot help? And I cannot help. That needs to be changed. Your Excellency, I know some voices of ours and my amiable guests may not be so far to reach certain places, but because we are here, some other government functionaries are here. Our voices and our yen can get to a place that we cannot get to see.
Excellency, it's our OP. It's here live.
When this health insurance system
the best event center in
does not deliver these services, what happens? People begin to go for quacks. Because when you tell me that we are preaching against self-medication, you're welcome, sir. We are preaching against self-medication. And self-medication, self-medication, is it not? For those that are not Igbos, it's when you have money you can say that you will not self-medicate. You go to the hospital, you get adequate health care. But when you don't have money, when you are down on funds, when there are so much economic woes around, the person will tell you that I can also go to the chemist shop just down the road and I will get those same drugs within me at the hospital. And it works. And then you find patients coming into the hospital. They arrive at a critical condition because he has tried paracetamol, he has added ibuprofen to it. This patient has peptic ulcer that is about to perforate. By perforation, I mean the intestine is a tube, a long tube. By the way, a fun fact is that from the buccal cavity, the mouth, to the anus is 30 feet long. So stretch all the way from here to 30 feet. That is how long it is. And that tube is an enclosed pipe. Some people have perforated cases. In fact, I was standing somewhere in GRA. I came to procure some drugs in the pharmacy. On stepping out, I saw a young man. I hadn't taken notice of him. He was just seated on the floor, close to me. And I didn't know he was vomiting blood. Just beside me, I was taking a phone call. When someone stepped over to him and told him, and asked him, what is going on? Were you beaten up? I had to take on this. I thought it was one of these viral hemorrhagic diseases. These diseases that like Lassa fever and the rest of them, Ebola. That was just close to me. By the time I asked him some questions, I noticed that this young man has been having peptic ulcer diseases, bleeding peptic ulcer. When he just pours it like he spits and gushes out blood. And then there was the pharmacy at the hospital. I told the man, please, before you get this boy to my hospital, it could be dangerous. We don't have time. Can we take him into your hospital and do whatever we can do to help him? Because I asked him, what is going on? Were you beaten up? Took his history very briefly. That is questioning him. So whenever you come to the hospital and a doctor starts asking you different things, these are to make diagnosis. Questioning him, and I realized that he had bleeding peptic ulcer disease. And then this young man was taken in. Do you know that this young man opted out of the hospital? Why? He wanted the money given to him in cash, other than being treated. It is very serious. I was afraid to take you to the hospital where I work, but you would rather take the money, which means you must understand where we are headed. Because I called back after leaving, because I felt I left him in safe hands. They told me that young man had left. That he said they should monetize it. It's just like a house, quarters. You should monetize the quarters. But then, if this health sector was working, if it was workable, people would not get to those stages. They would have sought help. There would be no self-medications. A lot of people don't want to go to set their bones locally when you have a fracture. But what happens? Because when you set it without proper being taken care of by the proper specialty, the orthopedic segment of medicine, you begin to see what we call limb length discrepancy. Limb length means, I would like to demonstrate it. When you see somebody, the length of this leg becomes disproportionate to the other. So he keeps on walking. I don't walk like this, please. It's just an illustration. He keeps on walking in that form. But what has happened? He used to walk properly before, but because of improper bone setting, he could not. So, Your Excellency, there are so many things we want to point on, but we are very happy you are here, and a lot of traction, I believe, will be gained. We are grateful. God bless you, sir. We will speak. Thank you so much. You will speak. I will have other comments. If you have a question for me,